people, whatever. The one thing that nobody ever debates in public is how the economy's structured.
Exactly right.
And why do hardworking people who actually add something to the country, who actually do meaningful work, creative work that's essential, string the power lines, teach the children, defend the borders, why are they getting paid the least? And people like Bill Ackman talking about Herbalife on CNBC's got $9 billion. Like, what is that? And you can't tell me if I oppose it that I'm a socialist, because I'm not. I was right-wing before you were born, son. Shut up. I'm not a socialist. But by the way, socialism is what we're going to get.
Well, that's the point.
If we don't address it.
You get Mom Donnie.
This kid in New York who's a total creep, oh, there it is. This kid in New York, who I don't like at all, you know, who's like just full rich kid, like tranny vax guy, you know, they're all the same. It's not even real socialism, but everyone's like, I can't believe he's gonna win. Of course he's gonna win. Because our economy is so distorted, so rigged against hardworking, honest people, American-born people, that they will, in the end, move to another system out of frustration. And that's exactly what happened in Venezuela.
I totally agree.
I know. I've been saying this since I wrote that book, whenever that was. They ultimately fired me for it, but it's still true.
Didn't I say this on stage at the beginning, guys, that economic disorder will lead to political radicalism?
I'm starting to think
I don't
that.
know.
Like,
I mean,
I fell for that. I was so offended by that.
Well, we still it's still very real.
Oh, dude, I'm still offended by it. I'll never stop being offended. No, but I'm just saying, like, oh, I totally agree.
Okay,
It was
I'm
like,
just making sure we're not done with the training.
It was like power bait, and I was a bass. I mean, I hit it immediately. And I will continue to hit it.
Me too.
Okay,
just so we're clear, we're not done. Okay, we're going to be on that bait.
But it was used in a very tricky way to
I agree. No, that's right.
so inflame normal people that they couldn't even think about other things like, why can't my kids buy a house? That's the question that makes me madder than any other question.
What you're getting at, and
I bought a house at 23.
I think what you're getting at is super profound. What you're saying is that there is a deliberate smokescreen operation by the ruling class to have us talk about stuff that is important but not as consequential as basic living necessities. Is that your argument, that they're throwing a bunch of smokescreen grenades?
And I don't mean to be mean to Ben Shapiro, who I like personally, but he's just like a living metaphor for this. It's like, he'll do like 9 hours on trannies, 127 hours in Israel, but then if you're like, well, wait a second, why are we taxing income at twice the rate of investing? Twice the rate. I'm a rich person, by the way, just obviously. So, like, I guess I should be for lower capital gains rates, but, like, I don't understand why someone who goes to work every day and makes a wage is paying twice the income tax as someone who's investing money in a PE firm. What's the answer? Shut up, Marxist! Okay. If that's your answer, I don't believe you. And that's like a real debate that we ought to have. We ought to have an economy that rewards decency, hard work, actual innovation, not fake AI innovation or just implant a chip in your brain. It's cool. That's not innovation, that's dystopia, okay? But actual innovation, like making your life better, making it possible for you to spend more time with your kids. That does not mean faster texting, okay? Or anything having to do with an iPhone. All this technology stuff is a full-on lie. Doesn't improve anybody's life. It's true. You got antibiotics.
Surgery. Surgery's big.
I guess, yeah, I'm for surgery. I've had a couple.
No, like, I mean, if you need an appendectomy, I mean.
I had an appendectomy. It was awesome. I enjoyed it.
I think surgery is a good thing.
Surgery? I'm not going full Kaczynski here. I'm
just trying to make sure we keep ourselves a little.
Next time, I'm having.
Advil is okay.
Advil's so bad, dude.
Well, if you need it.
It's so bad. My college roommate got liver disease from it. Look, I don't take any Advil. Just drink water. I don't use whatever. Don't even get me going. Do I oppose electricity? Yeah, kinda.
Antibiotics, we can at least agree.
Whoever said woo, I'm on your side. Woo.
We do overuse antibiotics for the record.
We do, but the point is, here's what drives me bonkers, and here's the conversation I think we need, is where do the smart, ambitious young people go? They are the country, okay? I'm losing intelligence and ambition and youth at a high rate.
They're here at this conference.
It's not about me. It's about the 23-year-old who's like, oh man, I gotta make my way in the world. What do I do? How can I do it? Mushroom, that's not the answer, dude. Been there, call me. No, that person is either going into technology or money lending. That's it. And by technology, it's high technology. It's not how do we get more efficient power lines. It's how do we make a circular saw with a tighter curve. It's not meaningful technology, it's how do we make a more addictive video game? Or how do we totally destroy human agency forever by creating a machine to think for people? It's like the worst kind of technology. And so I feel like we're siphoning off our best, and the way they do it is always by telling you, we need to do this or China's gonna beat us. China's gonna beat us on the AI race. I'm okay with that. You know, they can also beat us on the fentanyl race. You know what I mean? And they can have more physician-assisted suicide too. Let them win. Not interested in any of that crap. What I'm interested in is a world where my kids can thrive and have children of their own who can also thrive. That's the measure, and anything that falls short of that measure is evil. And once you see the world in those terms, you just reframe everything and you realize we need way fewer Bill Ackmans, and we need an actual wholesale rethinking and a public conversation about where the money goes, not just to Epstein, but to all of us.
So, in closing, because we got to get you on stage, Tucker, I'm upset you didn't bring the heat today. So,
you spun me up, Charlie.
Oh, I have a way to do that. That's why the Charlie Kirk Show is the best, right? Conversations here that no one else gets. So Tucker, you're getting at a core thing, which is that the material life of this generation is significantly worse than prior. It creates bad politics, it creates broken marriages, broken relationships. Washington, D.C. seems to not care. You get, it will be Mamdani-ism. You get hundreds of him.
Yeah.
He will replicate himself in every city, every corner across the country.
And they always blame the wrong people. They're like, you know, it's pretty, I mean, look, there are a lot of problems, and Bill Ackman's not, and you know, Ben Shapiro, they're not responsible for all of them. I don't mean to, I'm simplifying dramatically. All of us are complicit in what our society has become, including me. I made an Amazon order yesterday. I did feel self-hatred, but I did it. So we're all complicit in this. My problem with the reform movement, any reform movement, and this would include, you know, Hugo Chavez, who led a really important reform movement in Venezuela against a totally screwed up centralized economy that was like screwing the country, and then he made it way worse. They always blame the wrong people. They never blame the people in charge. They always blame the people right below them who aren't really responsible. And they always make it worse. So revolutions are not what you want. Very few have been successful. Ours is the only one I can think of that's been successful. And Mamdani will always, let's be like, what's the whites' fault? It's the whites, the whites. The white people are getting away with it. You know, we need to tax, he said that, we need to tax the whites more.
We need to tax white neighborhoods.
Well, you know, first of all, that's just race hate, so I'm against it. If he said the Jews or the blacks or the Filipinos, I'd just be against it because I'm against that kind of talk and thinking, period. But moreover, it doesn't work. You know exactly where that's going. Mugabe tried it in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe. It became the poorest country in the world. Hugo Chavez did something similar in Venezuela. Like, it's just been, and of course, needless to say, it's happening in South Africa right now. And you can see where that's going. But last thing I'll say, there's a reason it's going there. And that's because the current system is making people desperate and nihilistic. And when you stand up and tell them they have no right to ask about Jeffrey Epstein and where his money came from, you're ensuring that New York's not the only city that's going to get its own Hugo Chavez.
Last question, then we got to get you on stage. Why are so many young people going back to church? Let's talk about something promising. It is happening. It's happening in record numbers.
Because God is moving. That's why. I mean, I would, if you'd asked me that 3 years ago, I would have said it's because the promise of the modern West, the post-war West, God died when we dropped the atom bomb on Hiroshima, obviously, because we assumed godlike powers. We have the power of life and death over the planet, over humanity itself. And so that was literally the moment when the West stopped believing in God and things began to fall apart. I'm not defending Imperial Japan, it's just a fact. Rather, that's my interpretation of the facts. But anyway, this has been happening for a long time, and the prizes that we award to the winners in our society are mostly not worth having. It's just material wealth, which is not the source of happiness, as anyone who's ever gotten rich, including me. I've been rich and poor. You know, it's better than being in debt, which is bad, but it doesn't make you happy. Of course not.
Not being in crisis makes you happy.
Of course, that's right. Not being in debt, not having a mortgage, that's all good.
That's important.
But like, how much French toast can you eat? Like, seriously. You know, how many hours can you sit in bed? You know, it's like not that exciting, actually. So I would have told you 3 years ago, if you said, why are people returning to church? Why is Christianity resurgent? I would say because they found Western materialism fundamentally unsatisfying and they're looking for something more. I'd no longer think that. I think what you're seeing is a supernatural phenomenon. I think you're seeing the Spirit of God moving among people. I can't believe I'm saying this.
You're an Episcopalian?
I know, I
was.
was.
What is wrong with you?
I left when it became Wiccan, but that's how I was raised.
You're talking like a Pentecostal.
No, I don't know what I am, but I try to describe things as honestly as I can. Clearly, we've seen evil move among us.
Correct.
We see it all the time, all the time. It's not rational. It's not political. No one's getting rich from it. The point is destruction. That's the point. Why would you give fentanyl to addicts? Why would you invite 500,000 Haitians here with no
COVID
jobs?
shot.
It's the COVID shot. It's only to destroy. So we all know that. That's evil. That's what evil looks like. But evil has a counterbalance, which is actually more powerful, and it's called good. It's the Spirit of God. And you are seeing that, and I am seeing it all the time, and it's what keeps me from being despondent. And I see it, as you see everything, through other people. And I've lived in a secular world my whole life, and certainly in the news business for 35 years, I've only known secular people. There are no religious people in the news business, none. Maybe in the editing room or something, but they don't talk. And I now know people personally really well who are like, yeah, I was like praying the other day, or was reading the Bible, or I think I believe in Jesus. What? Use the J word? And I'm seeing that everywhere. And so that leads me to believe this is not organic, this is supernatural. People don't say that, they're not moved to that, except by God's power moving them. You don't have eyes to see or ears to hear unless God gives them to you. So I think that.
So how has God been at work in your life?
I don't know. I'm so focused on my inherent shittiness that it's sometimes hard to see it.
That's why you're a good Christian.
I don't know.
No, the first rule of Christianity is understand you are
well, I definitely marinated in that.
totally depraved.
Oh, I'm definitely aware of that.
Total depravity is the beginning.
You
know you need Jesus if you stay in total depravity.
I always tell the kids who work for me, the one person I don't trust is me, because I know him so well. No, I think I'm just so aware of it. I mean, I think one of the ways that people change when they start thinking about God is your timeline gets longer, and you realize that this is just a snapshot in eternity, and it's not the end, and it wasn't the beginning when you were born. Like, this is a lot bigger. You start thinking about what happens after you die. It's not the end. And you start seeing the world in those terms. Death is not the worst thing. You know, you can live in hell on earth by being trapped by lies, and that's a choice that all of us make every day. Am I going to participate in the lie or not? And it's not that hard to say, no, I'm not. And it's incredibly, I hate the word, but it's true, empowering to decide that to the extent I remember, I'm not going to lie. And we're all so prone to lying, me included. Like, they just like come out, lies all the time, lying, more lying. You know, we're just like that way. But if you try, be like, no, I'm going to tell the truth. In the small things and the big things. No, I think the fish was only 13 inches. It was not a 19-inch trout. I'm just going to be honest. I think it was 13 inches. I'm a trout fisherman. If you just get in the habit of doing that, you find yourself filled with this crazy power from outside you, which is by definition supernatural power, and you become stronger. The more you tell the truth, the stronger you become. I really believe that. I've experienced that. The spoken truth. The spoken truth.
That's the logos.
In the beginning was what?
The logos. The word, which is the word logos.
Yeah.
Which is the spoken
And the
truth.
word was?
And the word was flesh.
Yeah.
And the word was God, and God became flesh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I would never hold myself out as an example for anyone to follow. That's for sure. But I can only say that I think God is the truth, and telling the truth to the best of your ability. If there's one discipline I try and practice every day, it's that. I often fail. But that has been the most enlivening exercise of my life.
When in life, and I know they're going to yank us off stage, but tell us about the moments where you decided to lie even when it was easy versus telling the truth, and how that had an impact on your soul. Because a lot of young people here in this audience are met with that decision every day. Lie about who they are, lie about what they believe at work, career, campus.
Oh, I can give you the example that changed my life. It was 2002. I was an anchor in CNN. I was on the second highest rated show on CNN, which was a TV network at the time. And it was a big, sort of in the tiny, dumb world I lived in, it was a big deal. I was 31 years old. I was like, wow, I can't believe I have this job. I'm so important. And the 9/11 had just happened, and all of a sudden the Bush administration started talking about bombing and invading Iraq. And because I'm not a genius, I was like, what did Iraq have to do with 9/11? And everyone's like, shut up! Are you an Islamist? And I was like, no, I'm not an Islamist. Oh, not me. And they're like, no, we need to invade Iraq. And I was like, I don't think that seems like a really good idea at all. Like, I don't even understand why we're doing that. And it mattered because every day on the air, on the show that I hosted, I had to take a position on this. So it wasn't like I just like ignore it. Like every day I had to come out and say something about it. So it pushed me into this. And I didn't want to support it. And I had a close friend who was involved in it. And I had dinner with him one night. And he goes, well, actually, you haven't seen the intel, the fabled intel, which is always the predicate to a lie in D.C. Have you seen the intel?
All a bunch of BS.
Oh, shut up. Anyway, but, and I knew that because I grew up there. But he says, you haven't seen the intel, but actually they have an active WMD program, Chem Bio program. We were at the Capitol Grill at the back booth on Pennsylvania Avenue. I'll never forget it as long as I lived. And I was still drinking at the time. I was drunk, but I remember it like yesterday. And I was like, oh, wow, I can support the war against Iraq now. And I went on TV and I was like, yeah.
You thought that?
Well, I wanted to believe it because, like, how hard would it be for the Republican side of the debate on CNN to be against Bush, who I knew Bush well personally, like outside of work also, for family reasons. Then I also knew him from work. And I was like, he's like, guy's kind of an idiot, actually, very insecure. I knew who Bush was, but everyone had to like worship Bush and be like, oh, Bush is he's like a really strong president, when he was so weak, actually, totally controlled by Dick Cheney, who was so dark. And I knew all that, but I didn't want to say it because it's just hard to go against the team that you think you're on. And I was then, as I am now, like an actual right-winger, like a pro-life nutcase and like a family man, and like I am conservative for real, not joking. So I want to be on that side. I didn't want to be on like the crazy peacenik side, the furry armpit patchouli side, because they like hated America. So I was like, I'm so glad now I have a reason to support this war because I've heard about the intel. So I go on the air and I'm like, actually, there are a few things you guys may not know because you haven't seen the intel, but actually. And I kind of knew it was BS, but I like convinced myself that it was true. It turned out, of course, that my instincts were 100% right, as they always are. Trust your instinct. God speaks to you. You know what's right and wrong. Paul says this at great length, like you know, actually, listen. But I overrode that voice with my deceptive higher mind and allowed myself to go along with the lie. And then a buddy of mine was killed in Iraq. I went to go see where he was killed in December of 2003, and I realized this was the biggest disaster of my lifetime, and it was, and it like bankrupted the country and killed all these people, and I participated in it. And that's been 22 years, and I've been upset about it ever since. And that was because I allowed myself to participate in a lie, to answer your question.
Tucker, we got to get you on stage. Give it up for Tucker Carlson, everybody.
Thank you.